Let's talk about this Nancy Pelosi Nvidia trade. So looking at yahoo.com, according to a disclosure form from congresstrading.com, Unusual Whales, Pelosi purchased 50 call options with a strike price of 120, right? So that's going to be, we say the strike price, that is going to represent the price at which we want the option to be exercised. And exercise means that we're going to go into the market and we're going to tell the actual person that sold us that contract that I want to control those shares for $120 per share. And it has an expiration date of December 20th, 2024. And that means that is going to be the date in which my option ability, which is my ability to exercise these particular contracts, are going to expire. Therefore, when she bought this contract, she had almost 365 days that allowed her to expire. The thing about an option contract, but especially the kind in which she bought, is she does not have to wait till December 20th to exercise the contract. She can exercise the contract from any time in which she bought it until December 20th, 2024, I believe at 4 o'clock or when the market closes. So we call that a potential capital gain of $5 million. Here's another article from a website called Finbold. And what we want to point out is that on January 9th, when this article was written, Nvidia was at its all-time high of 522.53, which means that she made potentially 1.8 million on her investment, which means that those contracts appreciated by 1.8 million. So the buy-in was between 1 to 5 million. And on this particular date, those particular contracts appreciated by 1.8 million. What Nancy Pelosi is doing, or what she and her husband are doing as a team, is something that we call leap contracts. And leap contracts are normally going to be contracts that are 6 months to a year or greater, right? So 6 months being a minimum, and they can go out longer than that. Most options chain will only allow you to buy maybe 3 years worth of time on a contract. Now you ask yourself, what is the reason why she wants to do this? So she bought those contracts at a strike price, right, of 120. If you look at Nvidia, the last time it was around 120 was 2022. Now what she's doing is saying, I want to control Nvidia shares at $120. Now, why is that beneficial to her? Because Nvidia currently is trading at $555. Okay. Therefore, she and her husband have calculated it makes more sense for us to pay the contract premium, which is between $1 and $5 million, to control shares at 120 than to go directly into the market and buy the amount of shares that we want to control at $500 or greater. The reason why she and her husband took this particular strategy is because they're bullish on Nvidia for the remainder of the year. Now, it doesn't mean they're going to wait until December. They may exercise this contract and look to get those shares at that 120 strike price. They may look to do that in June. But what I would believe, based on the way in which they bought this and the amount of time they bought for it to expire, is they're bullish on Nvidia for the rest of the year. Now, people will say, well, she has an advantage over everybody else because she has inside information. And they're 100% correct. When you're at that level of politics, you get access to information that the average person would never get access to. There's things that Nancy Pelosi and there's things that national level Congress people know that will never come out to the public, right? It'll never get reported through any news agency. And that is a perk of having her position. And so this is why you see so many people in Congress trading, right? There's so many people in Congress involved in the markets, and they're not going to vote themselves out of this revenue stream. This is a great way for them to build wealth. This is why people go look out for these positions, because wealth is built in groups and is often built based on your network. Therefore, if you're in an environment where you get access to information that the majority of the country will never get access to, or they won't get access to it until after it already has taken place. One of the biggest things about the market is information and understanding about how things are going to move based on your understanding of the market. If I'm sitting on a committee and I know that we're going to pass legislation to move things in this particular direction because that's what we're talking about, I can start buying companies in that particular industry or sector and then wait for the legislation to pass and then just capture all the appreciation. But I can get in early because what do I know? I know the tone of what we're talking about. I know the likelihood of things going in this particular direction. So I just go ahead and start accumulating positions. And therefore, this is what I want you to understand. Everybody is involved in this except you. And when you sit down with these Congress people, they're never going to talk about this type of stuff. They're going to talk about everything else. While they're doing this type of stuff, regardless of political affiliation. You don't have Republicans saying, well, you know what? I won't do this with Democrats because I'm against them. And you don't have Democrats saying, I won't do this with Republicans because I'm against them. They're doing this together while splitting you. Right? Because that's what you want to hear. You want to hear the other side's the worst thing in the world, even though these people make money with the other side all day. And because Pelosi and because her husband are in such a really, really good financial position, they can buy deep, deep in the money contracts. They can pay the high premium because they believe that I'm locking in the price and I'm able to gain from that appreciation of the stock price. And I'm really buying these shares at a discount compared to what I would buy them if I was to go directly into the market. Now, you may be looking at yourself and saying, well, I don't have the 1 to 5 million to spend on contracts. You don't have to spend 1 to 5 million. You can look at one individual ticker and buy one contract using this strategy. You don't have to exercise the shares. You can also sell that contract into the market because that contract is going to be very valuable, because in 6 months, if Nvidia is at $600 and a person wants the contract, they'll be willing to pay that because I can get those shares for $120 as opposed to $600. Nancy Pelosi did not need to pass a FINRA test to do this. She did not have to be an options broker dealer to pass this trade-off. She's able to do these type of trade as a retail investor because she understands how the market actually functions. She understands how the American economy actually functions. Now, she doesn't talk to you about that because you don't want to hear it. You may want to hear about political football. Therefore, she gives you what you want. She gets what she wants, and she and her husband go and build wealth. And that's the game that they're playing. And she's going to play that game until it doesn't work anymore, but it's going to always work because of how people are. Now, here's a question you want to ask yourself. Is the reason why you're not involved in these type of activities, is it because you feel like I don't have enough money to get involved? I don't have enough money to actually transact? Do you feel like I don't understand enough about these type of situations? Do you feel like this isn't something that's really common to the people that I talk to? We don't talk about these type of things, so I'm really not comfortable? Or is it just because you're not interested? And I want you to ask yourself that because, again, this type of activity is going on all day, every day around you. However, the people that are involved in it never talk about it with you. And you want to ask yourself, how come they're talking to me about something that has nothing to do with what they actually do day to day? I put a video up on YouTube, let's say maybe 2 years ago now, about other trades Nancy Pelosi was involved in. This is an activity that she and her husband have been doing to build not only their long-term wealth, but the long-term wealth of their family. Now, you may not be able to do this at the level that Nancy Pelosi does it at. However, you can do this at some level. And that's what I want you to understand. But it takes first you having a desire to improve these situations in your life. And then you having a desire to learn, understand, and apply what it's going to take to put you in the best position to be successful. But never allow yourself to think that people are not involved in this type of activity every day while feeding you something very different. Hope you got some value from it. David W. Williams, talk to you later.